Good morning, you guys. Today I kind of just wanted to go on a little vent session because it's been a minute since I recorded a video. Since I kind of recorded anything, to be honest. It's been a really long time since I put anything out there. But there's so much I have to say, like always. And yeah, I think it's time for a vent session. I don't even know where to begin, to be honest, but I'll say this. I think many of us can see the world around us is shifting in a very noticeable way, and it's time is definitely running out. It's time for us to get ourselves together. It's it's not like it's never been of importance, but now more than ever, I believe is becoming more and more crucial to either you get ready now or by the time you start getting ready it'll be too late. That's just my opinion, but I've always had, not always, it's been pressing upon me a lot lately, the importance of us getting it together. Like there's so many times where, this one person has it together, but this one doesn't. This one person has it together, then this one doesn't. It's like in the church world, it's always like a seesaw back and forth where one person has it together, and then we're constantly in this limbo where we're not connecting the way that we should. We're not as impactful because not everyone is getting on the same level of readiness that we should be on. And even in marriages too. Married couples, I really wish that this was talked about more in the church. Maybe this will be another topic for another day. But so many of us, I don't want to say us younger ones, it's like the middle. I can speak for myself and higher and older. We didn't get taught the foundation of, marriage, what to look for before you get married, and a lot of us ended up unequally yoked, or our families have had long-term histories of divorce, and there's something notable about, once again, us not having it together. One person is here, the other person is here, and it's constantly an up and down thing. Even in friendships, I see it in like the community, the rest of the church community. We need to get it together, seriously. Like, I'll say from the aspect of friendships, I know it's like there's so many moms, because I'm a mom, I can kind of relate, that need help, and there's like no real community there to like assist or be the support that a mother, a Christian mother, whatever you want to call it, would need. There's so many foundational basic stuff that we're not being told about, that they don't know about, that the first ladies aren't even talking about, like, and it's really hard to kind of even kind of go there if you're not a first lady, because you feel like you don't have the right to talk about it, or you don't have the right to kind of tell someone else how to do their job. That saying with don't speak to a platform that you've never been on or whatever. It's bullcrap, but that's a whole nother mentality that needs to be dismantled. That's a mentality of the enemy to pretty much that says, don't tell me what to do because you ain't been there. But there's many of us who can relate, who still speak on mantles that we never been on. Many of us never have been president, but yet we still think we can tell the president what to do and how to do his job better. Our bosses, we can tell our bosses what should be done and how, improvements can be made. And many of us have never been bosses, have never been CEOs. But it's not like we don't know. It's not like we don't have the knowledge. So that whole mentality is a lie. It's a lie, to say the least. Sorry for like the awkward pause. It's so hard for me to like think of things like back to back because it's so much. But once again, I'm just gonna vent. So going on to even marriage. Nobody taught me. I'll say this personally, and I'm almost guarantee it ain't just me. Nobody taught me what to look for in a spouse. Nobody taught me what to, in a sense, check off of the list before approving of this person being a spouse. Like, I look back at I thank God for my husband. I love my husband. He's my best friend. But the way we did things in, like, any of my relationships in the past, it was just, like, so wrong. Like, I made so many mistakes in the dating kind of category of my life, and a lot of categories of my life, to be honest. But specifically right now, I'm going to talk about the dating one. So I now know that what you are supposed to be looking for, one of the keys to success in a marriage, other than to be equally yoked. So, and even equally yoked is like how. No one's talking about the how to be equally yoked. I personally believe that equally yoked, really, the man should be ahead of you as a woman to some degree. Not far ahead of you, but he should know more than you. He should be teaching you. He should be leading you, not you leading him, as far as Bible knowledge, getting revelation, talking to God. You should be, getting all those things too, but he's the head. He should be having constant direct line to the Most High, because once again, hierarchy. But other than the whole equally yoked, we kind of already know that without getting into it, so we kind of half know it. Anyways, the fruits of the Spirit, I can't say under talked about. It's not talked about at all, that this is what you should be looking for in your spouse. I'm got my own little list of what to look for in a spouse, and it ain't nothing to do with the fruit of the Spirit. I mean, certain things like kindness might have been on there, but not love, peace, joy, long suffering, patience, kindness, goodness, gentleness. I'm missing one. I have a way of saying it that I'll remember it. But I know that a lot of the issues that have transpired after we got married could have easily been solved if these were in place. Pretty much the key that was missing from those issues were the fruit of the Spirit. And looking at other people's relationships, it was the same thing. It's like, okay, well, if they had self-control, that might have been the one I was forgetting. If they had self-control, this wouldn't happen. If they had love, this wouldn't happen. If they had joy, if they had peace, if they had goodness and kindness and gentleness, this wouldn't happen. But once again, nobody is talking about that. People are getting just marriage counseling, which may or may not be helpful. I remember getting marriage counseling, and I don't really remember it really being helpful. It addressed some things, but some things really just got swept underneath the rug that were really damaging. I'll say damaging because there were issues brought up then that were not dealt with, and they weren't being taken seriously before we got married, and then certain things transpired that were directly correlated and linked to that. So from all of the things that transpired, once again, both not seeing fruit of the spirit and not being equally yoked. The idea of getting it together really was brought to my attention that is there's this weird feeling I have for a while. I can't even really explain when it started or exactly why. I think it's just an instinct that if these things aren't done, I'm going to die. Like I don't know what it was, but it's like, there's a feeling of death approaching when you are not equally yoked, or when you are not I want to say on the path to your calling, or just getting it together. You're getting it together, but you're with someone who is tearing you down constantly from their actions, their behaviors, their habits, like whatever it is. They're the open door for the enemy to come in and attack you. I'm pretty sure that's probably what it is in a nutshell. I couldn't explain or think about what the heck it was at the time. I remember we went to marriage counseling, and I just remember feeling like, if I don't get out of here, I'm gonna die. And it seems silly, and I really wish I can put it into better words, and I wish I can also hear feedback to know it ain't just me. But I really don't. I don't know. There's a feeling of death when you're not walking in your purpose, and you're especially married. It's so dangerous for you to be with someone, yoked up with someone, and you trying to move forward and they not. It's scary. And I don't get scared often. That's one thing about me. I do not scare easily. So there's so much to your purpose and to the unity, the union that you have with a spouse if you get married. There's so much importance that it runs in order, and that it is that you're in unison, I guess. That it will feel like death if you don't get it together. And I'll say this as well, from a mental health standpoint. I know me personally, I've always been like this, I guess, to some extent. If I'm not really pursuing God like I should, I feel depressed. And it'll like creep on me slowly, so it won't be like full-fledged depression like some people go through. And that comes from, once again, that's if I'm not pursuing God fully with all my heart, mind, and soul, I'm making an idol out of myself. And that's the basis of idolatry. Something else is taking God's place. And most likely it ain't nothing else but me. And it's the same thing for other people who suffer with depression. And I know right now it's kind of a hard time for me to talk about depression because, a couple of things have transpired recently. I don't mean to be insensitive to what recently happened, but this has been something that God has put on my heart for a long time now. I just haven't been able to articulate it, or I don't know. But it really starts to weigh in on the marriage and the individual's mentality when you don't have it together, and when you're not equally yoked, when you're not walking the fruit of the spirit, when you're not working in your purpose. Your purpose is kind of tied to like your lifeline. I hate to say it, but like if you're not walking towards your purpose or on your purpose, it's like you are off your lifeline and you're bound to get snatched up at any moment. And I'm sure that's once again probably where that whole I feel like I'm gonna die mentality kind of stemmed from. And can we talk about how I know this is like a big thing and you hear more about it now than before. I know on my feed, maybe it's because, algorithms and stuff, they listen to everything that you say and everything that's going on around you. But, more and more women are complaining about men not doing their part and men being like lazy and blah, 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 blah. But, I mean, that goes back to the same topic of, women progressing or as the wife progressing, but you yoked up with someone who's complacent, who's content, staying in the same place. It's time for the men need to step up. The men want to be respected. Men want to feel like the king. They want to feel wanted. They want to feel needed. But then they don't give you something to need. They're okay doing the bare minimum and maybe if that. But want to feel like the king. Want to be respected as the king. Want to be hopped on, if you know what I mean. Like they're the king. And it's like, no, sir. You're not giving king energy. You don't get... I'm not going to go there. But outside of that, there's a natural response to a man who's walking in his God-given authority and his natural kingship, who's doing what he needs to do, who's motivated, who's ambitious, who's putting in the work, who doesn't need to be told or mommied to do the basics. Like, a lot of these men are not doing even the basics. And I hate to say it, but it falls on the men. The men, it starts with the men. My husband will say this from time to time, and I really appreciate that he'll acknowledge and take accountability in this aspect, where it's like, oh, it starts with me. A lot of the things starts with the man. I'm not saying nothing starts with the woman. I'm not saying that. But most of the issues that are going on in the world and the fact that people do not have it together starts with the man. There's so many women in the church. There's so many women seeking. There's so many women growing and doing XYZ, and without the man, because the man is a burden. Because the man is, just a ball and chain on your leg. You can't really prosper with these men. I'm not saying all men as well. Please don't take anything that I say as an absolute where it applies to every person in the category. It doesn't. None of what I'm saying does that. But a vast majority it applies to. So the fact that so many men specifically suffer with mental illness or, depression or suicide, most of them you don't see seeking God. Most women you see who are going through that will run to God. There's something wrong. When you are going through your lowest of lows and you still won't see God, I'm getting a little off topic, but let me try to reel it back in. Because whole mental illness, depression, we all go through it. We all do. We all put ourselves in these predicaments at one point or another. Possibly is passed down from generation to generation. With the help of us, bring it upon ourselves, and we just, out of ignorance, we don't know. That doesn't mean beat yourself up about it. I'm not saying that as well, because I know, in the sense that one of the first steps to kind of overcoming depression and mental illness is acknowledge what it is and have grace for yourself. Have some sort of compassion for yourself. Get to the bottom of it. Don't enable yourself, but have some compassion for where you are and just grow, figure out what it is. Me personally, I would always sit with a journal and figure out what is it that I'm feeling. What's keeping me in a state of sadness. And most times it just is a feeling of I'm stuck. I'm stuck and I can't get out. So I need to figure out the opposite. I need to figure out how to become unstuck. How do I make progress? I don't know if this is once again just a me thing. I don't think it's just a me thing. I think this is something that's connected to every human being. We need progress. In order for you to feel fruitful, in order for you to feel successful, you need to progress. You can't stay in the same place and do nothing or be stuck, purposefully or not, and be happy. Or have joy. I'm sorry, but happiness is not the goal. Joy is the goal. You only enjoy it with God. But it all boils down to, are you willing to do the work? Are you willing to do the work to get unstuck? Are you willing to do the work to do the opposite of whatever it is that's keeping you down? Including if it's just you worshiping you. I've seen also people who suffer with mental illness because they're just so consumed with themselves, so overly vain and self-absorbed is the word I'm trying to think of. You're so self-absorbed that there's no room for anything else. But there's still no room for you because you still can't fill that void. So now you feel super hollow and super empty because you're full of yourself. But there's no God and there's no room for God. And you're not thinking of God because you think that you're all you need. What you want to do is all you need to be happy. And it's really just a high you're seeking. Even people who are not self-absorbed, who get sucked into their hobbies or whatever in the sense that they want to do, it's a form of self-absorption, but in a different way. It's not like, a look at me. It's just more so your sin is driving you down a rabbit hole of things outside of God and outside of you, per se, that bring you happiness, but still not feeling that void, and you still feel empty and hollow inside. My heart breaks for the people who didn't have answers or who didn't know how to see this or how to think about it to kind of come out of it. Because at least, once again, I can only see for myself. As long as I can see the spiritual aspect behind it, it's a lot easier. I won't say a little bit. It's a lot easier to kind of come out of. So once you understand the problem is me, the problem is I'm too worried about myself, all you have to do is do the opposite. If you understand that there are evil spirits encouraging and egging on and influencing you to do this and do that, or look in the mirror, look at you in the mirror, look at how you look, get this fixed, get that fixed, you gotta sound this way, listen to this guy, and be like this musician, or all these things that are sucking the life out of you, pretty much, while you're trying to, in a sense, do this for happiness because you think it'll make you happy, because in a sense it makes you feel better once you chase after that goal, and maybe you get better, you look better, you feel better temporarily, but after that it's fleeting, it's gone, and you still feel empty inside. You did all that work for what? And after that's gone, there's more. There is going to be more voices. There's going to be more thoughts tempting you, egging you on, influencing you to do other self-absorbed things. And you continue and continue and continue. And it becomes a stronghold because you keep coming into agreement with the thoughts that demons put in your mind to do A, B, C, X, Y, Z. Just know that these thoughts that we have in our head are not our own. They don't originate from us. They come from somewhere else. We just come into agreement with them. Every single thought that you can think of did not start with just you. It came from somewhere else. Either you saw it somewhere, or you heard it somewhere, or a spirit once again deposited it into your thought process. Even if it came from previous generations, there's certain doors that you did not open yourself. That's like, how do I know that? Where did that come from? I ain't never heard of this. I don't know what this is. I ain't never seen this. But yet, in your mind, it came into your mind somewhere. These are demonic thoughts, and we all have them. It's called temptation. This is how we're tempted. This is why the Bible says that your temptation doesn't, it's not, I'm wording this terribly, but pretty much you're not guilty for being tempted. You're guilty for acting upon the temptation. You are guilty when you come into agreement and, you do the act. When you do the act, you came into agreement. When you said with your mouth, when you let it escape your lips, you came into agreement. If the thought came here and you didn't say it out your mouth, you didn't come into agreement. If the thought came here and you didn't act upon it, you didn't come into agreement with it. But if you fantasize on it and you keep thinking about it and you keep allowing it to stay in your mind without casting it out or just ignoring it or whatever, just letting it be, you let it linger and let it sit there long enough, it's going to eventually come out your mouth or come out through your body. So it's very important that somebody start talking about it. I don't even want to say the church. I'm not gonna blame nobody per se for how I've kind of been conditioned to feel like I'm always blaming the church per se, but the church really does have this responsibility as the shepherd of the flock. You're supposed to lead the sheep out of danger. You're supposed to also feed the sheep so that they can grow. Sorry, not sorry. It's getting to that point where I really need to stop being afraid and concerned about, how people will take what I'm saying as negativity towards the church. It's a negative topic. It's in a sense, it's bad behavior. It needs to be talked about. But somebody's got to do it because there are people out here dying. And once again, it's too soon. Too soon. People out here dying for a lack of knowledge, lack of understanding, lack of basic foundational stuff that should have been taught already. That's what gets me. We need to get it together. I don't know what it's going to take, when it's going to happen. This is not just, just a me thing. This is, I'm sure, a worldwide thing. This is not, just my local churches or whatever. This is a worldwide thing. There's so many people out in the world who don't have a basic understanding of what they need to do to get out of a wet paper bag, as some people would put it, but out of basic spiritual warfare. You can't even control your mind. You can't even get a sound mind. How are you going to fight other battles outside of yourself? We're still fighting our own demons. And there's I can't say our own demons. I don't want to claim nobody, no demons. You shouldn't claim them no demons for yourself as well. But the demons that are sent to you as an assignment, I should say. We gotta do better. And I wish I knew how to say it all. I don't. I know I'm really bad at articulating, but I'm gonna get better. We gonna work on that. And that's all. I know that God has called me to speak, and I've been holding back once again because I feel like I'm bad at articulating, and I might really be bad at articulating, but He still has called me to speak, and I don't say it to boast or be proud. That's another thing I would like to talk about. I would like to encourage other people. If you feel like you're bad at articulating, but God has called you to speak, please do it. Don't be like me and wait months and months and months and maybe even years. Certain things I got revelations on years ago. And I just couldn't say it because I just did not know how to say it. And I felt like if I say it, I'm going to look dumb. I'm going to say it wrong. Or don't get me wrong, I didn't just stop there. I practiced talking. This is part of me trying to get it together. So if I know that my issue is confidence in speaking, I need to practice. I need to practice speaking. We all need to get it together. Seriously, we all need each other. We all need help. The enemy is weeding us out one by one, separating us because life is too heavy. Our own stuff is too heavy to bear for ourselves and for others. We have to start tipping the scale the other way, because it's too much going on. The devil is getting more than just a foothold, and it's like, for what? Because people don't want to get it together. People don't want to sit down and have the hard conversations. I'm here to have the hard conversations. And I think that's what I need to make my name something, because once again, I'm the person that's typically the negative Nancy. I'm talking about the bad stuff. I'm talking about this. I'm talking about that. I think I'm called to confront demons, to point out demons. Yeah, everyone wants to be like, oh, it's not a demon, that's not a demon. So, yes, everything is not a demon. But more than likely, there is a demon in the stuff that y'all saying is not a demon. And the Bible talks about us, or them at the time, not being unaware of Satan's devices. But many of us today are. Because everyone's so worried about, oh, you're too focused on the demon. You're supposed